Britain's in the grip of an epidemic. A third of our children are now overweight or obese, and thousands have such bad diets that they're having to undergo major surgery.
Who's to blame for childhood obesity? Well, according to this UK documentary, Junk Food Kids, Who's to Blame? The parents are.
Of course, it is parental responsibility and it is their fault. I can't blame a parent openly saying it's your fault because, that's not the type of society we live in. No, it's nobody's fault these days. That's it. That's how it is.
Parents can, for want of a better word, be in denial of the part they may have played.
Fundamentally, it is parenting that's at the core of it.
And to be fair, the parents in this video are pretty bad. Very unsympathetic crew here.
There are some parents who will put their own convenience before the well-being of the child.
This mom in particular is extremely hard to watch, and it doesn't help that her daughter is extremely cute.
It's a bit tight.
I honestly do not believe she's put all this weight on just through what she eats. Thyroid. They said it might be something to do with that.
Sweet little chubby Tallulah here is not only obese, but has a mouthful of abscesses and tooth decay because her mom can't be bothered to get her to brush her teeth each night.
Does she brush twice a day though? Or only once?
Sometimes it can be twice,
but mainly
a lot
once.
of it just once. It's like it's a chore for her. Why would you want to brush your teeth when you can sit downstairs and watch a bit of, Peppa Pig or do something else,
I try not to judge on things like this because there's a lot of factors here that we're not discussing, but every word that comes out of her mouth just makes you so mad.
It was easier for me on a night to give her a bottle of juice than to try and sit up with her all night and try and get her back to sleep. I like to just have an easy life. I think everybody likes an easy life.
But do we think that parents like Tallulah's mom have never existed before in history? Because surely they have. Of course they have. But just look at the childhood obesity rate. Here's the rate between 1963 and 2016. In just 50 years, it quadrupled to reach a whopping 20% of obese children. Type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset diabetes because only adults got it, but they had to change the name because so many kids are getting diabetes now.
They're developing diseases which we used to see only in adults.
And I really think that this is a question that deserves more public consciousness. Why is everyone getting fat? Who is really to blame? But before we get into the video, a message from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Athletic Greens. I'm super excited to be working with Athletic Greens because I had actually been a customer for quite some time before they reached out. Athletic Greens has created a movement around simplifying your health routine by using only one product, AG1. It's not just for athletes, it's for busy students, moms, dads, rookies, first-timers, and everyone in between. AG1 is nutrition made simpler. It's 75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and antioxidants all in one convenient daily serving. This special blend helps your body's nutrition needs and supports gut health, immunity, energy, focus, and healthy aging. AG1 really covers all your bases for the day, including helping your gut microbiome, which is something that I notice when I pay attention to and take special steps for. It really helps my overall mood. I personally like to drink AG1 in lieu of a multivitamin because first off, I really hate pills. And second, I find that AG1 is really comprehensive. There is so much jammed in there. It is NSF certified for sport, which is the gold standard and lets consumers know that what is on the label is actually in the powder. AG1 also has a great taste for a nutritional beverage. I don't know exactly how you would describe the flavor, but it's quite pleasant. Maybe like a green vanilla, I really don't know. It mixes extremely easily, it isn't chunky, and it's really easy to chug. AG1 is an incredibly convenient way to give your body what it needs to perform its best. Click the link in the description box to get a year's supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 travel packs for free with your first purchase. AG1 provides your body with everything it needs for optimal performance every single day. So click the link in the description box to give AG1 a try today. Thanks again to Athletic Greens for sponsoring today's video. And back to the video. When surveyed, approximately 60 and 80% of people believed that parents and personal responsibility were primarily to blame for the rise in obesity.
Denisa and her parents have come to King's College Hospital to find out whether she's suitable for surgery. At nearly 16 stone, Denisa is double the weight a girl her age should be.
13-year-old Denise's parents also believe in personal responsibility. They blame Denise's obesity on her lack of willpower and inability to stick to a diet.
15 minutes after leaving the hospital, Denise's parents take her for one last treat.
She tried to lose weight when she was 11. She tried to lose weight when she was 12, but got fatter and fatter.
Here's a thought, maybe that's because her prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed yet.
Yeah, we keep one diet, all three together. It was very good, but now we cannot keep. She cannot give up the bread. She likes very much. And
Oh, right. So the reason your diet didn't work out is because of your kid. It's actually scary how both of these parents act so casually, like it's their daughter's fault that everyone in their family is obese.
The hospital sent through a detailed diet plan for the family to follow, but Denise's parents have yet to put it into action.
Parents find it hard to keep to a diet, and that's why I can't start a diet, because they find it hard.
As a last resort for her obesity, Denise's family is considering gastric band surgery.
He's come to the conclusion that the surgery will be more effective than their attempts to diet.
But with the surgery, you don't have to give up of temptations. Yeah, you eat whatever you want.
No, that's not true. Denise doesn't even want the surgery either and seems to be afraid of it. It is so messed up.
you don't want the surgery anymore.
If the diet works,
Okay.
I don't want the surgery.
Yeah, okay. I'm agree with that.
They kind of told the side effects, and I didn't like them. One of them was that I could die, and I don't want to die.
Since her first appointment a month ago, Denise's family haven't managed to stick to the hospital's diet. Her parents think that surgery is her only option to lose weight.
And then the documentary just ends. They don't tell you if she goes on to have the surgery or not. Like, bariatric surgery is a last result. Kids shouldn't have that decision made for them because their parents don't want to go on a diet.
Dieting, changing your eating style. It's about the power of willing, and we demonstrate that we are not that strong.
Are Denise's parents to blame for this situation? Absolutely. You could make a philosophical argument about ignorance here, but at the end of the day, they're not making an effort to change their diet, and they're pushing her into something that she's telling them that she doesn't want. I say that's fair to cast blame in this situation.
If surgery wasn't an option, I'd get fatter and be awful. I would be doomed.
I found this entire documentary extremely difficult to watch. I didn't even know if I was going to make a video about it because it's so sad. But as enraged as I am at this situation and her parents, I can't help but feel that we've also failed her as a society. The thing is, Denisa and Tallulah aren't outliers. They're part of a growing trend.
In every classroom, in every school in England or the UK, 1 in 3 children in that classroom will have a weight problem which will shorten their life and reduce the quality of their life. That's the scale of the problem.
And when the cheapest, tastiest, most convenient, most heavily marketed, widely available food is also the absolute worst for our health, there is much more to the story than bad parenting. As an adult, I feel personally responsible for my health choices, regardless of the difficulty of the food environment we find ourselves in. But children are not responsible, and they shouldn't have to pay the price if their parents are not willing or able to be the mediator. I don't think I've ever argued against personal responsibility in any capacity in my entire life, but here I am. Because you know who else loves the personal responsibility argument? The food industry. And somehow they've been almost entirely left out of this entire conversation.
Parents are always responsible. They have a responsibility, but so do other segments of our society as well.
And that was pretty much the only reference in the entire documentary to any other group sharing in responsibility for the childhood obesity epidemic. When the question is, who's to blame, you can't just not talk about the food industry. Here's a paper that demonstrates the extreme lengths the food industry will go to keep ordinary people in the dark about the reality of the food they are buying. To protect their commercial interests, food and beverage industry groups utilize many strategies, such as actively lobbying governments, vilifying scientific evidence that does not support their position, funding research studies designed to support their position, and asserting that obesity is simply a matter of personal responsibility. That means the food industry uses its immense resources, its money, its political pull to essentially subvert our ability to make informed dietary choices, while at the same time denying that they have any role to play in the obesity epidemic. In a full 20.5% of all email interactions with Health Canada, industry used the mechanism of shifting the blame and drawing attention away from industry, i.e. focusing on individual responsibility, the role of parents, or physical inactivity. Perhaps this is why only 35% of individuals selected the food industry as sharing in primary responsibility for the obesity epidemic.
In the future, I'm not saying I will, but I might get diabetes and I might not make it until I'm 30 or something.
I can't help but feel that we owe children a food environment that isn't at least actively hostile to their health. And if their parents don't know what is or isn't healthy, or they can't afford healthy food, or they don't have the time that it takes to prepare it, then these kids are essentially being left to fend for themselves while they're actively and knowingly being exploited by the food industry. I went to the grocery store to see how much junk food was being directly and observably marketed to kids. First thing that greeted me, a school bus full of Oreos. Kids' characters like SpongeBob, Paw Patrol, and Scooby-Doo were being used to sell candy. By the way, I'm pretty sure Paw Patrol is for kids between 2 to 5 years old. Is it not a little bit disturbing that they're trying to get 2 to 5-year-olds to eat candy by partnering with their favorite character? Lovable minions were slapped on biscuits, and these children's cookies even had the audacity of pretending to be healthy by claiming to be full of veggies and fruits. Also the cereal aisle, which is just rows full of friendly and fun mascots used to market to children since the dawn of time, and countless other products all aimed directly at kids. I'm not even saying that kids can never eat these foods, I'm just saying it's a little bit messed up that the food industry is trying to have a conversation with kids whatsoever. And I think this satirical ad agency does a perfect job of explaining why this is such an issue.
This is the first agency in the world dedicated to marketing food and beverages to children, and only to children. Our research showed that their brains aren't fully developed yet. You'd think this would make our job harder. It actually made it a lot easier.
The way we see it, sugar is like a drug for kids these days. I mean, they are basically addicted to this stuff, which is great because our products are pretty much selling themselves.
Which one sounds the most yummy?
It's straight up predatory behavior, and because of the millions of dollars spent on lobbying the government every single year, there is next to zero regulation standing in the way of these companies.
It's just hard not to eat what you want to eat. Some people, like me, are just too addicted to junk food. Like somebody's inside you and they're controlling you. Something like that. And then it's just addictive. But when you see something and you take it, you do it again and again and again.
When the government considers doing its job and regulating things, or even just updating the food guide like we have here in Canada, the industry, quote, uses financial incentives to influence decision makers, or threatens legal action against critics or public policies, as well as this entire list of unsavory activities here. You see how fruit juice is on the top rung of the food guide here, right next to regular old fruits and vegetables? The same juice partially responsible for Tallulah's rotting teeth.
Not a nursery. All of them hurt me.
According to this paper, when Health Canada considered removing it from the top rung, the food industry lobbied them, claiming it would negatively impact Canadians' health if they took it off there. And so despite the fact that we now know that juice without the fiber is not very healthy for most people, it remained on the top rung for years. Being an obese kid is not only unhealthy, but really hard.
People bully me about my appearance. I get really mean things like, you're ugly, nobody likes you, cover your scuff because you're killing everybody with your ugliness and that. It's just really nasty. I'd like to lose half my weight, that would be really good. And then I could stop worrying about everybody looking at me, giving me dirty looks and that, because that's what happens sometimes.
But when the cheapest, tastiest, most convenient, heavily marketed food is also the most unhealthy food, then these stories aren't surprising. They are simple economics.
Do you use kind of convenience stuff then? How much of it would you say you...
About 90%.
90% convenience?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it's convenient.
It's easy to string some messed up footage together of kids getting preventable illnesses due to neglect and conclude that parents and responsibility are to blame for childhood obesity. But this is a very complex issue. It's more than just parents, it's more than just personal responsibility. There are countless stories on Reddit of parents claiming that they've never bought their kid junk food and yet their kid is addicted to it. It's just a little suspect to me if you make an entire documentary with the subtitle, "Who's to Blame?" and then you don't even mention the food industry whatsoever. Obviously, I barely scratched the surface on any of this, but I have an upcoming video, in the distant future. I don't want to give it all away just yet. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Well, the great thing about children is that there are new ones born every day. So if you have a product that you would like to get some sticky little hands on, let's talk.